Ganesh and Tony, here it is. Quiz for June. You guys got the luck of the draw for getting the quiz. I usually share these with my team, so there's been some mixed reaction to some of these questions. So I'm just going to jump right into the first one. It's kind of a web theme. So the first question is, which of the following is an example of a uniform resource identifier, often called a URI? And the answer, again, is one of those, it's choose one or more. So be careful, because it could be one, it could be two, it could be three, it could be all four. So, which is probably not in this case, but it could be. So so A is just the normal https://att.com. B is a URN : ISBN : and then an ISBN number. Anybody who's curious can search that ISBN. It's one of my favorite books of all time. And then C is a Git call for a GitHub page, just a made-up one, github.com user project name.git. And then D is none of the above. And so it's not an all of the above, it's a none of the above. So I'll first ask Tony, I'll put you on the spot. Tony, which of these, like I said, one or more, do you think is a URI?
I'm thinking B and C. That's my gut.
How about you, Ganesh?
Okay. Yeah, definitely not A and D. I know URI is typically, it's a superset of, I believe, URL and URM. I'll go with B.
So, well, you guys kind of got it a little bit. It's kind of interesting, and this is when I do these questions, I learned something myself, because I would have said,
okay.
I would have said probably only, I would have said D or C would have been my option, but it's actually A, B, and C are all examples of URIs, because a normal URL is actually, like you said, a superset. URLs are subsets of URI. The URI is a higher level classification. So, so URLs are a URI. URNs are URIs, and so are GIT are URIs. There's actually a whole big long chart. It's like hundreds of different kinds of URIs, all the way back to, you could think just anytime you've ever seen something like ... that's a URI, almost every time. So it's kind of a tricky question. There's really no wrong answer because like I said, it was one or more. But it's like I said, I learned something, and I think that a lot of times when we think of URIs, we don't think of URLs in particular. And it's just been an interesting learning experience for myself.
Yeah, okay. It does. And actually, these should have been all of the above.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I try to be tricky.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, the HTTP one, I just kind of overlooked. URL, done with it, worked on the other two. So yeah, I learned something on this one. Thanks, John.
Yeah, no problem. And like I said, URIs, I would have said A if I had like a colon, or question mark, colon, variable equals, whatever. I said, okay, that might be a URI. But yeah, like I said, learned. All right, so two's a little easier. Mixed content. This one I think you guys will get. Maybe not. I'm a little tricky sometimes. Mixed content on a website is a security concern, making that assumption, and refers to a website with, and there's only one good answer here. All right, best answer, I should say. There's probably more than one good answer, but there is a best answer. Is A, combination of data that is proprietary and non-proprietary. B, both encrypted data and unencrypted data. C, scripted and active content or display. And then D, local or externally, externally obtained. So which of these do you think is the best answer? Ganesh, which one do you think is the best?
I go with the option B because mixed content would be in encrypted files, maybe, for example, HTML files on a web server, even if it's HTTPS. If some of them are not encrypted, it could be called mixed content. So based on that, I'll go with B.
Okay. Tony, your opinion?
I'm going to go D. I'm thinking cross-site scripting and some of the other things where it's, you can cross areas. I'm going to go with D.
Okay. Yeah, and I know you're contrarian a lot of times, Tony. So it's okay for you to pick a different answer. But my opinion, like I said, this one actually has several correct answers, and to be honest, probably all of these are correct. But the best answer is B. Ganesh and I agree on this one, is that typically when you see mixed content, it's because you're mixing encrypted data and unencrypted data. So, but I think your answer is correct as well, Tony, is that anytime that you are doing multiple domain of control and multiple domains of data, I think mixed content is actually an appropriate statement. It's just a lot of times documentation will refer to with the encrypted and unencrypted mixture.
So how about John, then option C? Even that's a valid option too, a valid answer also.
I would think you could argue that, really, because it depends. Okay. Again, if I'm mixing generated content with a with a static. Like I said, I think all could be good answers. I just typically will see it with the encrypted and unencrypted. The last one's easy. I'm going to close with one that I think, well, unless you guys just, like I said, contrarian Tony maybe. Close with the last one is true or false. All right? A malicious site will never be encrypted or use an HTTPS:// Tony, true or false?
It will never. That's false.
Ganesh?
I agree with Tony. False.
And I told you this one was probably a little bit of an easier one, because I think we all know that websites, even bad guy websites, can use HTTPS and can use encryption. Encryption is always, is always a good thing to have for valid websites, but there's nothing that prevents a malicious site from being encrypted. So yes, the correct answer is false. So that's really good. I mean, Tony and Ganesh, you guys probably see a lot of malicious sites that actually do have HTTPS, as their link.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost the split is even between HTTP and HTTPS.
Yep, I would think that, and I would think that as the malicious actors get more and more aware that people look for the little lock and they look for the content, they'll probably do more and more of actually just it's not hard to find a certificate and then just use encryption.